Hello, how are you out there? Are you crushing in life and your career? Are you ticking off all the tick boxes for success, yet you still feel oddly unfulfilled? What if the reason behind burnout and perfectionism and people pleasing isn't about working too hard, but it's losing touch with yourself? You lose touch with who you are. Welcome back to Executive Encore, or welcome if this is your first time, where we unpack the big topics, the big issues around life and work and fulfillment for women who are remastering their life and their work from 40 through to 70 and beyond. Many of our audience are 70 and beyond, but we also have our favorite younger women who join us so that they can learn all the wisdom from our guests. Today, we're exploring what might be the real crisis for high-achieving women professionals out there. Maybe it's not burnout. Maybe it's self-abandonment. So today, I'd like to introduce you to Clara Lucia, a transformational coach, speaker, and creator of the Breaking Through methodology. Clara brings over 20 years of leadership experience, blending emotional intelligence and strategic insight to help professionals reconnect with their purpose. She has coached leaders from Fortune 500 companies to nonprofits, helping them to break through burnout and discover fulfillment. Clara, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, Patricia, the pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here with you all.
Yeah, we're very excited with this topic. So, Clara, in your experience, why do high-achieving women professionals seem particularly prone to feeling disconnected from themselves?
It's a wonderful question, Patricia, and I tell you that whatever I support my clients with, it's work that I have done for myself. So I know by experience. And there's a few things that come to mind when it comes to kind of that particular way of kind of disconnecting with ourselves, with our true essence. And it becomes to be a little bit about our past and how our past defined us, and how all of those beliefs and all of those things that we're affirmed by either our parents or our caregivers were instilled in us, and they become part of our programming. There's also, pressure from the outside world. There's things about what you should be doing, how you should be doing things. If you going to, corporations and companies and organizations, there's kind of expectations about your performance, about your doing, about always kind of in the run, right? No rest. And all of those things come to have more pressure in you, and they become your guiding star. They become the things that you pursue. They become the things that you try to do better and better and better. And along the way, all those external things and those beliefs that you have that may be limiting become the reasons why you do it all over again every time you wake up. And it becomes a world and a life of autopilot.
Yeah, that resonates with me because they are the things that are recognized in you earlier in life, through life, from caregivers, from teachers, from parents, everyone who has your best interests at heart. But what happens then, it's very hard for us to veer out of that and always have the pressure of being that high achiever, right? Because we've been congratulated on these things. And so we want to keep on doing that. And I would imagine that's where that feedback is what actually builds up that perfectionism in us, because we want to do it even better. Like we did good before, but now we want to do it even better. And we set very high goals for ourselves, usually external rather than internal goals, right?
Yep.
And that's what silences our inner needs and our emotions. So thank you for that. The other thing that really interests me is how you frame personal love. Could you tell me where the idea of personal love fits into what you've just spoken about?
Yeah. So personal love is something dear to me because in my studies, when I was doing my master's degree, I realized that I was becoming the subject of study. In other words, I became that person that I was getting to know better and better. And what I realized is I grew up thinking that love was conditional. I was growing up in a way of the more I do, the better I behave, the less problems I give to specifically my dad, the better off. And one day he will see me and he will love on me. So I conditioned myself to think about love as something that I will have to earn over and over and prove myself deserving of. And what I realize is living under that conditional love is one, exhausting, and two, is relying on external validation and affirmation, either from other people, including bosses, colleagues, friends, spouses, significant others, parents. And it turned to be a wake up call when, I realized that personal love is you choosing you first.
Mm-hmm.
Personal love is about you falling in love with yourself because you're a beautiful, imperfect human being with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you entertain the idea of kind of dating yourself, getting to know yourself, understanding that your yearnings are so beautiful, that your emotions are to be honored, then you start to loosen up on the expectations of the outside world for you to feel okay with yourself. So I understood that for you to change anything in your life, you have to revert back to you and you have to fall in love with you first. So then you can love others from a plate of abundance
Mm-hmm.
and self regard. And
Mm-hmm.
when you are able to choose you, no one can take that away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So personal love is the first step to going through and changing any other behaviors.
Say a little more about the self-regard, because that's part of emotional intelligence, and I believe it's something that people don't quite understand, women in particular, because they are always giving, right, and always sort of comparing themselves with others. That affects their self-regard. So can you explain a little more about self-regard for our audience?
Yeah, good question. And self regard really is the invitation for you to be curious about going inward and uncovering the beauty within. And the beauty within includes your bright side, your incredible skills and talents, and the wonderful personality that you have, but also includes a shadow side of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's our imperfections,
Mm-hmm.
is perhaps the ways that we snap or how we can perhaps lose control of something. So all of those things are part of that discovery of what would it be like for you to start dating yourself with everything that you are and be welcoming of that. And when you start seeing yourself, I just got goosebumps as I was like kind of like hearing me talk about that because it's beautiful, it's about you being curious enough, being kind enough, and courageous enough to go inward so that you can uncover the beautiful gift that you are. And when you do that, things around you start changing because your view of things also change. And your
Yes.
relationships do too.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that is if you date yourself and you see there's something that you're not quite keen on about yourself, right? Um, you then have that awareness to say, I'm not too crazy about me in that situation. Maybe I can do something. So it's very much about self-awareness. Maybe I can do something to change that so that I'm a better date the next time, right? But the thing is not to just sort of then abandon the date, like you say, abandon. You don't just sort of drop yourself or say, beat up on yourself. So there's a little bit of self-compassion and understanding there as well, right? So that's an interesting concept of dating yourself. There's going to be things you don't like about yourself,
Absolutely.
but you still continue to love yourself,
And
right?
that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, think
Right.
about all the things that you may not like about the person you're dating or the person that you're sharing your life with. even your friends that are close to you.
That's
And
right.
I think there's a point of, if like I tell you, like I don't like the way that I sometimes need to have control over everything and everyone around me. And it becomes, I become a little bit of a stubborn person at times, and I'm not proud of that. But what I do now, because I recognize it, and I'm not proud of, because that alters the way that I engage with other people. And that brings a lot of pressure on me as well, thinking that I have to have it all control as opposed to asking for help or delegating. So there's reasons why you would rather be curious about one behavior that you don't like about yourself, and then subtly start to challenge that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's where true change becomes real,
Yeah.
is when it's significant enough for you to want to do something about it that is different.
Yeah. Hmm. So it is, I think you've mentioned this before, is that like you have to start small on those sort of things. Um, Pause and give yourself permission to be curious about how am I coming across in the world, right? And then make the little changes that you're comfortable with. As long as you are making some changes, if there's something that you don't like, that I've heard this so often that people say, well, that's the way I am, I'm not going to change. and
Ouch.
and I find that so disappointing on their behalf, because they don't understand how they're limiting themselves, but also how much they could be more of the person that they want to be, rather
Correct.
than giving up on themselves. And I think that relates to abandonment as well, right? When they say that, like, this is just the way I am, they're abandoning all
The
thought,
possibilities.
yeah, of what they could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this concept that you talk about, you emphasize that purpose isn't something to achieve, but it's something to awaken. Can you share more about that?
Yeah. I love purpose because purpose changed my life. And it is through my purpose now that I am also helping to change the world. And that sounds a little bit of cliche, but let me tell you a story. Since I was very little, I was striving to be the good girl, the one that follows the rule, the peacemaker. Everybody gravitated to me. My grandma used to call me Clear Light, because actually that's what the meaning of my name, Clara Lucia, means clear light. And there was a lot of pressure on me to keep everything together, to keep the family happy, to keep things from happening to us. And I realized that I was very good at all of that, but I forgot about myself in
Yeah,
the making,
yeah,
right? So that's where the abandonment took place. I took everybody else as priority except for my own.
yes.
And when I started this discovery work and this developmental work as a grown up, right, things started to change because I realized that unless I go inward and unless I claim myself first, I'm not going to be able to find a purpose that is truly mine to live and is truly mine to own. So my purpose now is to be the light for others, is to be a place of hope, a place where someone will come and will leave with a little bit more of a brighter view of things or self. So, purpose is the reason why I wake up every day. Purpose is the reason why I go through the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur and a coach. Um, Purpose is what motivates me when things are rough. It's like that kind of light bulb or lighthouse in the horizon that keeps you going.
Hmm.
So purpose is personal. I cannot say, here, Patricia, I'm going to copy and paste my purpose and I'm going to just send it to you and then we're done. Purpose is an internal calling that comes when you are able to go inward and to really get to know yourself, get to accept yourself, and get to really give you that sense of personal love.
Hmm.
And it's something that emerges from within, and it's an expression of yourself, and it becomes intertwined with your personality.
Yes.
So when I am with my clients and when clients refer to others, purpose is one thing that they come up with. Oh, she'll help you come up with a purpose. And it's not like I'm going to copy and paste it and give it to you in a pretty sentence. I am going to be able to facilitate you
Hmm.
getting into that place where it's going to be a visceral reaction
Hmm. Hmm.
when you're able to find it.
Yes, Clara Lucia, a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure on people to have a purpose, especially when you come to a certain transition in your life.
Mhm.
Uh, and maybe you're leaving corporate world of your own choosing, or maybe you've been given a package, right? And so then women have this, especially high achieving women, they had a purpose where they were working before. It was the purpose of the organization, right?
Yeah.
You follow their goals. Now there seems to be so much pressure, Cara Lucia, that how do I now decide on what my purpose is? If all these years I have been living within this framework where I've been working towards some other vision than my own, right?
Yeah.
So that it's very important to have someone who can help you facilitate that. Now it's not a one call fix, is it? How long, and I think it evolves. So how long do you think is a good time to invest in the beginning? There's
Mhm.
always ongoing investment, right? You don't
Mhm.
get
Mhm.
it and that's it. How long does it usually take for someone when you're facilitating for them to start to get the spark of what their
Yeah.
purpose is?
It's a great question, and I love it because throughout my years of coaching, I found that, and the things that I have put together to help facilitate that, it's probably a process of, I want to say, 3 to 4 coaching sessions, and then worksheets and reflection time in between.
Yes, yes,
So I mean, it's not a magically thing that you turn on and off and switch and then boom, there it is. It's work
yeah,
because it is personal,
yeah,
because nobody's giving it to you as you have been used to, right? This is something from within. And it goes back to as simple as going back to when you were a little girl or a boy, growing up to those childhood, experiences and seeing yourself back then at the things that you lit up with, at the things that gave you fulfillment. At maybe it was about the animals. Maybe I get goosebumps.
mhm,
Maybe it was about being in touch with nature, or you were incredibly at storytelling. There are specific things and activities and moments in your childhood experience that will spark that ability for you to reconnect with that beautiful essence that is still within you.
yeah,
And when you're able to go there and follow kind of the process and do the worksheets and set up time, little by little, you're going to start to see that there's trends and then there's similar messages coming up.
mm,
And once you kind of look at them as a kind of like from a distance, you're going to realize, oh, this has been with me all along.
yeah,
I just let go of that to replace it with something else. But now this is coming from within.
yeah. And that's why we call it inner work.
Right?
Yeah. So you've described that the real crisis for high achievers is self-abandonment. You talked a little bit about that. So can you say more about how do you flip that? If that's the real crisis for us, how, apart from the inner work, but are there other things that we can do to start perhaps even recognizing that we are abandoning ourselves?
Yeah. So, great question, Patricia. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is it's when you are letting go of yourself, it starts showing up. It starts showing up in the way your body feels. I mean, silly things like, you know, you're going Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting, and you don't give yourself even 60 seconds to recalibrate from meetings. Or you just have one more thing to do, one more thing to do so that you can cross it off the list. But that one more thing means you're staying and you're eating lunch in your desk. And that lunch break is being squeezed into smaller and smaller and smaller times. Or to be brutally honest, is you're holding your need to go to the bathroom just because you need to get the next thing out of your inbox, right? So your body starts to feeling it, and then your emotional state of being also suffers. So examples, when you get home and you're about to have kind of dinner with your family, you barely touch the food and you're there physically, but your mind is somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to solve the thing about tomorrow. You're trying to put together the agenda. Gosh, you had, the problem with this employee and you're trying to, right? So all of those things are taking a toll. And the sad part, Patricia, is someone is paying that. Someone is paying the cost for those behaviors, and that is the loved ones in your life.
And who is your loved one?
Could be your children, could be your significant other, could be your best friend, could be your parents.
Could be you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you are your loved one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that to women all the time. Like, look at that little girl that you are the one who's responsible for. She needs your love. And sometimes they can't connect with that. So I ask them to take a picture from when they were little and
That too.
keep it on their phone or something and say, what do I need to do for that little girl today? Because I'm the one who's going to have the relationship with that little girl for the rest of the life.
Yeah.
And so you going goosebumps?
I do. And the funny thing is, I have a picture of myself in the screen of my phone.
Good for you.
Because again, that was when I was doing my studies. That was such a powerful tool that allowed me to even consider that little one was still within me, and it was up to me to extend my hands and connect again.
She needs you more than ever, right?
Yeah.
And I always say to women, would you tell that little girl that nope, you can't stop for breakfast. You got to go out to school. Or nope, you got to stay up late and you got to finish your homework. You're not going to be able to read a book or have dinner. No, sit at your desk. It doesn't matter whether you need to visit the restroom or not. Like, you've got to stay there. Would you do that to that little girl? Mm-hmm. If you did, it would be neglect. It could be abuse. So you call it abandonment. Actually, you could go further to say sometimes we're very self-abusive, right? Yeah. When we put ourselves in something like that, when we feel we've hit the wall, okay, you've hit the wall, leave, right? You're not going to get anything else done. Yeah. This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. It's so impactful. And before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners for them to start reconnecting with themselves?
I appreciate the space that you have created for women like us to hear some good news, because I want them to know that they are not broken, that there's nothing wrong with them, and that there's always that choice to go back inward so that they can reconnect to themselves, so that they can be the best they can be for others.
Yeah.
It starts with you. It starts by choosing yourself, but getting curious to start dating yourself so that you can uncover what personal love means to you. Mm-hmm. It's about connecting with that why, with that reason to exist that will move you through the hardships. And it takes your choice. It takes your, two hands to say, perhaps I need help. Perhaps I would love to just take a little break and give myself a chance to rediscover what truly means to be an executive, be a high performing, women that chooses self first.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Clara Lucia. As you can see, if you're watching the video, you will see every way that you can connect with Clara Lucia. And also there's information there for my website as well. If you're listening to this, actually in the show notes of the podcast, all that information will be there for you. And so we would like to tell you that we really appreciate everyone who sits and listens to this, whether you're in the car, if you're in your backyard, wherever you are, that you are taking time to yourself for self-development. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, a colleague, or another high-achieving woman who really needs to hear this message today. It's an important message for you as you go on to Remaster life at different times in your life, and remaster your work so that they work together, and your inner work as well, and to create the reality that you want. Um, this video podcast is produced by Maestro Quality as part of the Executive Encore program and hosted by myself, Patricia Muir. Please subscribe to Executive Encore on YouTube and on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, for more insightful conversations and inspiration for transformation. Please add your comments wherever you can. It's very important for the health, the well-being of a channel that we have comments and that we share with one another. And subscribe to the Sunday Encore newsletter today to read more about Clara Lucia, who will be featured in the weekly blog at the end of the week and published in the newsletter this Sunday, June 26th. When you subscribe to the newsletter, you will also receive VIP access to resources that Clara Lucia is going to have me post for you, and other offers by other podcast guests. Visit my website, read my blog, follow me on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, all those great places. This is where your Executive Encore begins. This is where you start to live, work, and lead differently with healthy mindsets, self-regard, and self-trust. Until next time, take care of yourself, do what's best for you, and don't jeopardize what you've built for yourself. Bye-bye.